Hello everybody, Matt speaking from UFOs around the world. Today's video is about telepathy. Are non-verbal children potentially telepathic? This is what KY Dickens has recently been saying, and there's a documentary coming out next year. We're going to go through some videos, probably about a 20-minute video, something like that. I know what you're thinking, what's this got to do with aliens and what's this got to do with UFOs? Well, it is connected, and we're going to speak about that. So let's dive straight in to the first video I want to show you. So let's go into the trailer. This is an old trailer. This came out, when did this come out? Let me have a look. This came out, oh, it's not this one. It's this one. This came out over a year ago. Showing some of the abilities. So take a look at this.
My son said to me, "I can hear thoughts." And I said, "Impossible." And he said to me, "You don't get the kind of gifts that I have if you lie."
Let's please multiply two numbers and see if he gets it.
Okay, what is it?
9, 0, 0.
Unbelievable.
1.
Maybe shuffle again, Dr. Powell. Oh.
Plus 2.
So he got the plus, too.
I was wondering, because I was looking at the 2 the whole time.
Insane, right? Incredible stuff.
I saw his hand going somewhere else.
What is this phenomena happening? Why are his mind and my mind completely connected?
I knew that a lot of people would think, boy, Diane's gone off the deep end. But
That's the risk any scientist takes when they challenge the current paradigm.
Joining us today to shed some light, Dr. Diane Powell.
I'm working with children who have been reported by a parent to be able to read their...
Want answers like, where does it comes from?
I want to know how and what am I supposed to do?
We can't all be crazy.
We are far more powerful than we can imagine, and the implications are huge for humanity and the planet.
So that is on the Telepathy Tapes website. I will put it on the YouTube channel. I will link it in the description. So that's just an introduction into what these children potentially can do. So they're saying that these non-verbal children have this extra ability because they've not been able to speak. They have been able to communicate in other ways, and it's so fascinating. I can't go through everything or share every video and clip and stuff like I really would like to, but I will link in the description to things that you need to go and look at. So they talk about things like teachers being able to ask questions telepathic to these children, and they answer on these keypads and stuff like that. So let's fast forward now a year later with KY Dickens, and we get this video which goes up 5 days ago, which again whets the appetite of what the hell are we going to see in this documentary. So take a look at this one. So let's go straight to this.
We're filming our final few days in Chicago. We're headed to Atlanta to finish up principal photography. And I just have to say, I don't know what's happening over there right now because I've never seen Kai so quiet, so exhausted in her own self. And so I just want to kind of see what's going on with her before we head on the plane to Atlanta. Kai, do you want to talk about it?
Talk about what?
Oh
my God.
What happened yesterday? What we haven't even begun to process, why you're falling asleep in the airport at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Chicago time?
Yeah. Okay, so this is so strange because I know everyone wants to know what happened yesterday, and what happened is so hard to digest because the non-speakers, I think, did what they did best. Those people that were participating in the...
I apologise if the sound's low. It is actually on full volume. I think the video is just set low.
Trials kind of showed us more of what they can do and what we should be looking at. And more or less, we're like, you're asking the wrong question. So yes, can they do telepathy across rooms in these, from multiple, in triple blind situations, the tightly controlled tests? Yes, they've done it. They've done it. They have that in the can. Some of the tests yesterday were hits, some were interesting. And then the most profound evidence of involuntary telepathy unfolded, which validated the hill, which validated telepathy, which validated individuals talking from a distance to one another, the individuals in the trials talking from a distance. And involved real-time information that we were able to capture on the fly that has now led to I actually can't say more. I'm terrified to say more. It's going to blow people's minds what happened. I think science, like formal science, has been trying to capture involuntary telepathy for decades, and it's impossible to get in a lab, which is why we do these trials. And we captured it yesterday, and what it led to, I think that's why we're having really physical, emotional effects. Like there's nothing we should be celebrating today, because what was revealed was really profoundly devastating. I mean, that's the only way to put it. It's like sickening. I feel sick to my stomach, and it was devastating. But in doing so, the non-speakers that were there showed up and said, we can help with really big questions and really big answers, and we can use our gifts in these profound ways. And yes, we can validate all of these things, all these psi abilities while doing it. And it made from a film point of view, it's gonna be jaw-dropping. There's no way to explain. There's no way to possibly put into words what happened. And it's a huge cluster of feelings right now, because I feel happy, as I didn't have a doubt the non-speakers would rise to the occasion and show up and show us what they could do. It was just never anticipated it would be in this form, which is a mix of emotions due to the content. So it's all coming in the film. It's gonna be out next year. We have our final shoot in Atlanta tomorrow, and I want to go back to bed.
Now, I don't know about you, but I'm super excited with what she was saying there. And I think everybody should be excited with it. This is like huge. Like, if this is true, this is huge. Now, she mentioned the hill, if you could hear. Apologies if it was low. The sound was fully up. I don't know if it's just the audio on the video that was uploaded. She mentioned this hill, which is another realm that these children can go to and stuff like that. So, what I like, because I've researched like 27 years the UFO and alien topic, and yes, I am that old. The greys give it away. You know, I'm getting old now, and I like to sit on things. Not like that. I like to sit on things when so sometimes it's a bit too woo woo, right? But I love the woo woo, but sometimes it's like woo, like, that's too woo woo. But then when things start to come out in this day and age and stuff like that, you bring some of those pieces back to the puzzle. So I'm going to use two of these fairly recent interviews. So this one's from like 7 months ago, and this is on Jesse Michaels. In fact, both my clips are from Jesse Michaels, and they're both fairly recent, within the year. So this one's with KY Dickens, and it's a short clip, and it's explaining the hill. So I'm going to play this for you now. So take a look at this, folks.
With Houston, who's so remarkable. So he lives in Atlanta, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's kind of a cohort in Atlanta. You want to talk about Houston's friends and where they hang out?
Yeah, and I want to say I think these cohorts are everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, through Katie and Houston, I was led into this Atlanta cohort. But there's cohorts everywhere. So but one of the most beautiful, unbelievable things. First it started with Akil, and that's apparent in episode 2, where he said every non-speaker has this gift. And I kind of thought, wow, well, that's quite a statement, But then I went to go meet Katie in Houston 3, and Houston repeats that every non-speaker has this gift, and revealed that Houston's the one that coined this term, the talk on the hill, which was this telepathic chat room where non-speakers can tune in and communicate with each other. And that was hard to believe. And then, Katie's like, well, you need to meet my dear friend Libby and her son John Paul. John Paul goes on the hill, and we went to their house, and John Paul went on the hill, and it was really cool. He went into his room, and he put a bunch of pillows on his head. And Libby, who's just like such a dear, again, like beautiful human being, was just like, this is what he does. After school, he'll do this. And he says he's on the hill. And I've learned about now that he's communicating with the letterboard, and he's really formed relationships there. And she's like, in fact, there was a young man, his name is Zahari, and he was born blind in an orphanage and was adopted, later in life and whatever. But just Zahari's mom was bringing Zahari to Georgia. He'd never met John Paul, but when Zahari walked into the house, he's like, hey, John Paul, blah, blah. They had this whole relationship, and they said it had been built on the hill. Wow. And so, and I say this in the series, it took me a long time to form my opinion or understanding of the hill. And I don't want to say a belief in it, but maybe it was a belief in it. It was just so hard to believe, And then there's so many people from disparate places talking about the hill. One was a minister I met at a mega church. I didn't meet him in person, but I talked to him on the phone, and his name is Joe. And he was saying that some of his kids in his youth group were talking about the hill. He runs like a special needs youth group. And would talk, they'd set them up with like other non-speakers in other places, and the kids would talk about the hill. And then I met a teacher in Chicago, and her kids were talking about the hill. And it's just phenomenal. And then Arthur Golden, who's a dear advisor and has been such a help on this whole project as well. And he's got a non-speaking son, Ben Golden, and they live in a very ultra-Orthodox community in Israel. They have their own hill.
Wow.
And I've heard of hills in Arizona, Florida. So I don't think there's just one.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I want to understand. And I will seek that question with the non-speaker advisory board and further in the film. Is the hill just this part of this collective consciousness where we can all hang out? Is it like a separate place that you can go?
Remember, she said that it's been verified. She can verify now that the hill exists. What are we going to learn this year and next year, people? What are we going to learn?
Yeah.
To share ideas? How many hills are there? Or is it just all one hill, but you just find each other? Like if you go to a party, you're at different parts of the room, but you're in the same place?
Have you and Dr. Powell done any tests when it comes to information transmission remotely on this?
I love the way Jesse, when he asks questions, he's just like, he's dead, like expressive with his hand. He's like, so if you are, and it's watch his arms, like just pay attention, watch his arms. It's amazing. He just talks with his arms. I don't know if that's in everyday life. His arms, like he's expressing himself so much when he asks these questions. Top notch. I love Jesse Michaels, by the way. If you see this video, I'd love one of your t-shirts, and I will send you a t-shirt if you send me one.
Kind of hill.
That's what we want to do. So we're kind of coming up with our list of dream tests for the film project, and her storyline in the film. I want to culminate with these tests, right? And one will be the telepathic, message sending in a controlled way behind partitions and with blindfolds, and the other would be having 2 or 3 non-speakers in different locations to communicate together via the hill and try to validate what each is coming back with and saying.
What you just said about Houston kind of just reminded me of this amazing story that you tell of Josiah. Do you want to tell this story?
Oh, yeah.
Josiah and Max Davis?
Yeah, that's incredible. And he's got a book, Josiah's Fire, so that's another really good one.
Right, that was a chapter with the hill bit, so you know a little bit about the hill now. Now, we're going to go into the bit where I think saying how is it connected to UFOs and stuff like that. Well, now we're going to get to that. And again, it's from a recent clip. Now, I could have used ones from decades ago, to be honest with you. But let's keep it fairly recent for people, so most people will have seen this clip, hopefully. Again, it's a Jesse Michaels one. Shout out to Jesse Michaels. So this is his interview with Jake Barber. So this is going to be a small clip that I'm going to play here. It's the Psionic Assets chapter. I might play a little bit of this part as well because it's connected. So I don't have to play the Herrera interview. It sort of summarizes it in these 2 chapters here.
UAP are attracted to. And I say, again, remembering what UAP means, it's a very broad term. It's unidentified anomalous phenomenon. So unidentified anomalous shit shows up. That's a pretty broad category. Now, in order to be effective at serving as a PA, you can think of consciousness as a field. Don't think of it as this superficial woo-woo thing. Like it's literally like the World Wide Web. It's like the internet. It's always there. We can't see it. It's full of information and exciting things, but point to it. I don't see it here.
Yep.
Right? So where is it? You have to be able to tap into it. You need something like a Wi-Fi signal to get there. So individuals that have this gift are people that have been trained and have the talent to serve as a Wi-Fi to tap into the consciousness field where everything in the universe seems to exist or have its presence. And once you can do that, now you're in an environment where, while we're having other multiple forms of sensor data in place, if a UAP shows up, is it registering in the consciousness field that our PA asset is connected to through the Wi-Fi? And the Wi-Fi is this process of getting into mindful meditation. So 2 things are happening in that process or protocol of serving as a PA. Lowering intellect, increasing intuition, and then reintroducing intellect at a higher level as an observer, not as a driver. How do you do that? Well, you're either born with a gift or you go through, you spend 30 years.
This is where it gets a bit dark now, in my opinion. And people that have followed me for a long time on my channels and stuff like, I'm trying to ask questions about where the children are, where are these children and stuff like that. And this sort of alarm bell started ringing as soon as I heard this. Immediately, as soon as he said this, while I was watching this for the first time, I was like,
As a Shaolin monk, and you figure out how to do it the hard way. There are either easier ways, there are cheats, and some of the cheats that have been experimented with are things that have not fared well for those involved in the program, including children, and I'll talk about them. So how do we heighten intuition? Well, you do it through stress inoculation. You do it through triggering flight or fight or flight biology systems in our body. Some of the most powerful things you can do is trigger that on. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, don't
What else in the conspiracy world do they speak about putting people in fight or flight mode? The adrenochrome. They do it because it releases the adrenochrome, and they drink it, and for whatever purposes. Phil Schneider spoke about this. Wendell Stevens spoke about this. Many people over the decades have spoke about this. Again, this is something that I thought, isn't it interesting to read, when you're 15, 16 years old. But then when you're a fully grown adult and stuff like that, and you hear it mentioned by people like Jason Sands, and you hear it in I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, but it's been said in recent times, and you think, And then you hear Jake Barber say that they put these children in fight or flight mode to do psionics. Makes me think, was that a lie then, the adrenochrome? Or is this the lie? Or are they both lies? Or are they both the truth? So he's going to speak a bit more here about, and it goes into the Michael Herrera bit, and how he came across the military. And they was trafficking children onto UFOs. That's where it's connected to UFOs. Psionics, the summoning things, it's connected to UFOs, but they're using the children, the telepathic children. I believe it's connected to what KY Dickens is uncovering in her research. So let's carry on.
Reinvent the will. The human mind and body is already something so spectacular we don't understand it. I don't know why it works, but if you can trigger flight or fight, all these things get activated, and intuition does. So stress inoculation is one. You got to hijack the amygdala, and boom, you put someone there. You need to do that to heighten intuition while subduing intellect. How do you do that? You subdue the intellect by disassociation. So there are chemical ways to induce disassociation. There are more proactive ways that you could do yourself, like through meditation. But all in all, those are the two things you do to get into that state. Well, kids are naturally way more visceral in both of those things. They're naturally more intuitive. Their intellect is lower. There is one more thing that you have to do to even enter that, and that deals with the other eye, instinct. So your instincts have to be satisfied at this time. So that just means you have to be comfortable. Can't be hungry, can't be horny, can't be tired, can't be worried about your survival. You can't be cold, you can't be hot. So all that has to be taken care of, so the limbic part of your brain is not like freaking out, while the prefrontal cortex, whatever part of the brain it is that's more responsible for the hardware that helps you connect to the consciousness internet is. So
is this why the world's in such a shit place? Why they're depressing people? Why everybody's in debt? Why everybody's struggling to live? Why everybody's working their ass off and still not being able to live? Is that the reason why? To keep everybody's frequency at that level? It's been spoken about for decades, this, by the way. They're trying to keep us at a low level, and we need to raise ourselves, and we can't do it because of the way the world we live in. The reason these makes a bit of sense, because they speak about the people from Indonesia and stuff like that, which I'll skip a little bit forward to now, actually, if I can get to it.
I would say it's like having another producer
in Indonesia. They are more at one with nature. They don't have the stresses that we have and stuff like that, they're saying. So it's people like that, and that's why they take them. So if you come to people in the UK, everybody's stressed out. Everybody's worried about things, paying the bills and all that crap.
What your song needs. This is co-producer. The fastest way.
Phenomenon, and the rest of the equipment is turned down, and then because we want to be able to isolate where we're having successes. So they ramp up, they activate, they summon, they invite it in, and then the rest of the equipment becomes measuring for their summoning effort. And so, yeah.
So it sounds like the U.S. government has used kids as psionic assets. And does that bother you at all?
That bothers me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It does bother me.
Do you have a model of what these crafts are and what's inside of them?
Well, interesting.
A question I would have asked, and they don't ask this question, is where are the children? Where are they? These are adults now. They've been going on for decades. I would like to have asked, and he gets a bit like when he's asked these questions now. He sort of leans back, he's moving. He's a bit. I think he's a bit uncomfortable speaking about what he's about to speak about now with the children.
Interestingly enough, this particular craft, the 8-gon, is exactly what Michael Herrera reports to have seen.
That's the
in Indonesia.
It's the one time I've ever heard this brought up.
Yeah.
That account, and it's matte black like you described. He calls it phantom black, and he says it has 8. Like an octagonal shape.
Yeah, so I heard Michael Herrera's story in Washington, D.C. There was in 2023, I believe, there was a whistleblower conference shortly after the Whistleblower Protection Act got activated, and then there was this at the National Press Club hosted by Stephen Greer. There were several whistleblowers that had decided to come forward in that environment and share their stories. So we were actually sent there on behalf of our employer to look for whistleblowers that we were trying to basically report to the FBI and get arrested, because at that time I was in this weird place between becoming a whistleblower or rounding up the whistleblowers and shutting them up, because there were good reasons and bad reasons to be a whistleblower. And so
you were at this press event red teaming, basically.
Exactly, yeah.
You are trying to maybe gather intel on people who might become a liability for the program,
Yeah.
and you hear Michael Herrera give his testimony.
Yeah, and I wasn't prepared for that. So
I'm sorry, because you had already seen the 8-gon.
Yes.
And then he talked about what you had experienced
Yes.
firsthand. And then
he's getting up there, and everyone's like, "This guy's full of shit."
Well, his was the craziest testimony from that. And so basically, this guy is saying, in 2009, he's deployed with his Marine unit to the Philippines. Then a small part of that Marine unit, like 8 or 9
Yeah.
people, get actually back to the U.S. for use.
We back-channeled it. That was us. We back-channeled that.
That was
information.
you.
That was me.
Oh my God.
So when that happened, we were able to corroborate at least 3 key things. One, that those type of paramilitary units do exist, because guys from our group get recruited and offered jobs to go exercise our skills elsewhere outside the U.S. I have never done it. I've never been part of those teams. The other thing is the description of the craft is exactly what I had seen before and my team had seen before, except he claimed this one was like 300 feet in diameter. Never seen one that big. The other thing were the containers. He described the containers at the time as being used for transporting drugs. He was just speculating. He wasn't lying, but he assumed that they were there, must have been transporting drugs, because he saw these units on the roofs. Well, those units were, those units that they used are consistent with the workstations we use when we're out on the range. They're mini split HVAC systems that are used up there because, as I explained, that's where we have our data observation team in those, and most of the time those are the Faraday cages for the psionic assets. We also know that that there are operations OCONUS outside the continental United States where prospecting for psionic assets takes place, and they're highly coveted. And the interesting thing is I hear in those programs that there's something valuable about the life experience in third world countries, in that it seems as though people that live a simpler life and are outdoors more and have less contaminants in their food and their drugs and in their culture seem to be a little bit better at disassociating and heightening their intuition.
So I'm going to stop the clips there now. So I will link this in the description. Everybody needs to watch this. They needs to watch this one also. Needs to go over to the Telepathy tapes and to buy some Heinz. So yeah, I will link them all in the description. What I want to say is, first off, where are these children? Like, we all need to get behind KY Dickens and also do our own research. Like, I've reached out, I've done social media videos and stuff like that. And I've had people connect with me, and I've got some interviews lined up with people who are saying that their child is telepathic, and the parents are telepathic as well, and they're keeping it hush hush, and they want to come forward really. And I've offered to create a group, like a WhatsApp group for all these people, the parents and stuff, to speak about. It's amazing how many people have come forward and said that they can show me something and that they can do something about this. Maybe we're on the edge of something, and we're just about to tip off into the unknown, and it could be amazing. If these people can teach us things and answer the questions, can they cure cancer and stuff like that? Can they, free energy, and they potentially answer all these questions for us and change the planet overnight? That's what we want. Obviously, things have happened to them. It's been dark. It's been sinister. They're saying that people in indigenous countries and stuff like that, they more at one with nature and stuff like that, and we're not. We've got too many chemicals in our food and drink, and yeah. I just hope the adrenochrome stuff's fake. I hope it's lies. But when you see all these sick things that have gone on recently, and people that have unalived themselves supposedly, from certain islands, and the dark web stuff and all that kind of crap that goes on, and organ harvesting and that. It could be totally different. It could be connected. If these kids are no good at doing something, did they get used for some other purposes and things like that? I just hope not, but I don't know. The thing is, well, will these kids know what's going on, and will they expose it? And I know there's an amnesty. There should be an amnesty for people for the UFOs and stuff like that, and whistleblowers, I get that. But if any of these things have happened to any of these children, and it's hideous and horrible and horrendous, no amnesty. No amnesty at all. I would not agree to that, and I don't think many other people would agree to that. We need to know the truth, and we need to get them on a rocket and send it one-way trip to the sun. That's what I would do. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. There is a lot more I could have added to it, but I've gone 9 minutes over what I predicted it would be, 20 minutes. Please drop a like and a comment, and if you want to become a member, please do. I will be doing merchandise soon and stuff like that. There will be member videos, there will be all sorts as I'm going along. Some people have become members, and I'm really grateful for that, and I will add your names at the end of videos when I get better at my editing. But for the time being, you just have to join me on this journey on YouTube. It's a lot different to TikTok. I've not got 250,000 followers on YouTube. I have on TikTok. But I'm sort of laying off TikTok a bit now, because you're not allowed to speak about what you really want to speak about. So I want my followers to come over to YouTube, where I can do longer form videos and interview people. I want to speak to people, everyday people as well. I don't want to speak to these prominent figures in the UFO topic. I want to speak to everyday people, because by the sounds of it, it's you lot that have the abilities to change the world, and I want to speak to you, especially if you are can't speak to you nonverbal, unless you want to send me some telepathic messages. But parents of nonverbal, if you've got some stories, please reach out to me and we'll get some discussions going, group discussions. It can be anonymous, whatever you want, we'll do it. So as always, I'm going to love you and leave you. Good night, and I will see you on the next one.